This is Conversations with Paycheck and Red, a weekly podcast with two good old boys talking about anything and everything that crosses their mind. You may not know what you're going to get with an episode of Paycheck and Red, but you sure know you don't want to miss it. So do what you got to do. Download the app, find the episodes online, and make sure that you don't miss 1 second of Conversations with Paycheck and Red.
Hello.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not much. I think we're about to do our first ever Conversations with Paycheck and Red podcast. Paycheck.
First one ever. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck.
Yep. I, myself, am Wayne, and you're listening to Johnny Paycheck on the other end over there.
The one and only.
The one and only.
Is it the or the?
I think it's the.
The one of only? The one and only.
The one and only, yeah.
I dig it.
Yep. Well, I mean, Johnny's been my BFF for probably, what is it, Johnny, 3-4 years now?
Yeah, we've been friends for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So, I guess that would leave me as Red, and I don't know. Let's see. I like podcasting. What do you like to do?
Well, I first found out about podcasts from Wayne. Apparently, he likes to listen to them, and I like to talk. So a few years ago, we started talking about doing a podcast because there's a lot of shit out there that needs to be talked about, and we feel that a lot of it is not being talked about. So this podcast is really about two guys coming together and just talking about shit. We hope that everybody can participate and chime in. Find us on social media. Let us know what y'all want to talk about. First, I don't know how many people listen to podcasts. I don't listen to that many of them, but I know that it's difficult to run through a good 35, 45 minutes and come content, that keeps everybody, wanting to come back. So we appreciate y'all listening, and shout out to all the ones that are already doing it and that are good at it. Hopefully we'll get there. So we just ask y'all to bear with us as we get through this first stage, trying to figure all this stuff out. We're going to have to get better equipment. So it's going to get a lot better. So just stay tuned. Everything's going to get good. Anybody that knows Red and myself knows that this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, you have to bear with us a little bit. I mean, this is the first one. It's a little rough around the edges for sure. Podcasts they're an alternative to radio, limited commercials, the whole 9 yards. When I listen to podcasts on Apple, they have like 5 or 10 second commercials, so they don't last as long as a radio commercial does. That's kind of why I like it. Plus, you can't really find certain topics to talk about or to listen to on the radio. Talk radio is all politics and all that other bullshit. But
well, how would somebody find a podcast? If there are people out there like me, I got kids, I got daughters, so we watch a lot of YouTube and shit.
Right.
So I watch a lot of the videos, you know what I mean? But so how would somebody like myself, how would they find a podcast? How would they find this podcast?
Dude, there's so many different ways to listen to a podcast now. I mean, I don't know exactly where the origin of podcasts come from, but I know Apple Podcasts is very popular. Google Play is pretty popular on the podcast front. Then you've got other host sites like Stitcher, and Podbean and a couple other ones that host podcasts as well.
So explain the process. You just heard about podcasts. You want to find podcasts.
The process of what?
Finding a damn podcast. Okay, so somebody says, "Hey, have you heard of a podcast?" And I say, "No," and they say, "Okay, check it out." Okay, so I get out my phone and I have an Android. So what? I go to my search engine in Google Play and type in podcasts.
Yep, that's all you got to do, man.
And then what? It's gonna say, "Hey, these are podcasts."
Nah, you download whatever podcast app you want to, like the ones I just named. I mean, there's a million of them out there.
Well, name a few of them again.
There's Apple Podcast, there's Google Play, there is Stitcher, and then
Okay, wait. Okay, so you download whichever one of those you want to.
Right.
And then I'm assuming that has a search engine and where you would put Conversations with Paycheck and Red?
Of course.
Fair enough.
Of course.
Sounds easy to me.
All you got to do.
Well,
I mean, there's so many different topics to listen to, though. I mean, you not only have the millions of political podcasts, you've got, I mean, Joe Rogan has his own podcast.
Yeah, I do listen to Joe Rogan, but I listen to him on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's kind of the same concept.
Yeah.
That's just the scope of his podcast.
What you're watching is his podcast. Yeah, that's his podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, just about everybody has a podcast. I mean, they're a dime a dozen, but there's political podcasts, there's comedy podcasts, there's paranormal podcasts, there's stand-up comedians have their own podcast. If you want to,
sounds like you have an addiction to saying the word podcast.
That is what this is, right? A podcast. This isn't like a radio show. No, we don't have to go for a commercial break in a minute, do we?
I don't know what kind of place would sponsor something like this.
Oh, dude, they're all. It's a whole big thing, man. It's its own little niche in itself, man.
So what is this podcast going to be about? Is it going to be about men, two guys talking about random shit like what?
Oh yeah, it's just two guys. Not to be confused with two girls and one cup, of course. But there's two guys, one podcast. I'm pretty sure that's already a name of one, so they're also not a sponsor. But anyway, it's gonna be two guys talking about random shit. I mean, if we want to talk about
what kind of shit?
If we want to talk about, I don't know, manscaping one day, we'll talk about that. If we want to talk about the kind of beer we drink and when we like drinking beer and how we like drinking it, we'll talk about that. If we want to talk about our facial hair, we'll talk about that.
I'm drinking right now. I have facial hair. I'm in there. I can talk about that kind of shit.
Yeah, I can too. You know why? Because I'm a guy. That's why. I'm a man. So.
Yeah, but see that brings us to the a little topic. We'll call this our first topic, I guess. It's been talked about quite a bit, especially if you have a beard and you have friends who have beards. Topics like this get brought up about being a man. Wayne, what do you know the Webster's definition of man?
Well, I don't have it in front of me. I left my dictionary at home.
Yeah. You don't have your notepad stuff ready to go, man? What kind of podcast is this? You don't have notes?
From the hip, man. It's the first one. Well,
let me put my damn notes away then. Shit.
From what I remember, when I was doing my research on the definition of man and man's place in society,
but you're paraphrasing, of course.
Of course, I'm paraphrasing. The Urban Dictionary definition of a man is his role in taking care of his family and providing. A real man, if you break it down, is real means authentic and true, and man being an adult male. So you get a true, real adult man, like the epitome of everything manly. Like he provides for his family. He works hard, which is providing for his family. He has manly features, which is facial hair. He has the broad shoulders, the cut chin. You know what I mean? Like the man's man. That's what Urban Dictionary says a man is. Now, my version of what a man is pretty much, I mean, almost the same. I mean, my one word defines a man for me, and that would be he's a provider. That's it. Like he provides for his family. He provides for himself, which is his good spirits and the way he cares for himself and the way he upholds himself in public. And he also provides for his family.
So being a man has a look, meaning like I'm confused on the whole, you know, what makes a man, and the reason I'm confused is because it's a culture thing. It's something that is, you know, I believe that a lot of what being a man means is where you're from and how you grew up, you know, and you can split that up. And, you know, from the South, being a man means one thing, and from the North or from the Midwest or whatever, you know, right. Being a man, it means something different. And I remember listening to Howard Stern years ago, and he was talking about he has somebody else mow his grass. He has somebody else work on his car.
Right.
So he doesn't really do the things that some societies would consider manly things. However, I mow my own shit. I work on my own shit. You know what I mean? So, so does that make him less of a man, or does that make me more of a man? I think that's why this topic is so interesting to me, is because I'm a man. I'm a man in the definition sense, but that's really all I am in my opinion. I mean, it's because you know what makes.
But listen to this though. Check this out. You've got a man. By definition, he has testicles and a penis. He has.
I do have all of those.
Right. And he has facial hair. He has the broad shoulders, the cut chin, the whole 9 yards. But he sits behind a desk and pushes a pencil. He doesn't cut his own grass. He doesn't work on his own vehicles. Is he less of a man than you, or you less of a man than him?
It's all in perception. I mean, you know, I can relate to your definition of a man because I was raised, I'm Southern, I'm a little old fashioned, and I'm a Christian. So, you know, everything that I've been taught, everything that I've read, you know, and again, this goes to culture, in my opinion, describes man as all the things that you know described as man of the house. I'm the leader of my household. I'm the leader of my pack. I even do quote unquote the manly things around the house. I work on all the vehicles. I take care of all the yard work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you didn't answer my question though, Paycheck.
What?
Does that man that sits behind the desk and push a pencil and wears a tie every day, is he less of a man than you, or you less of a man than him?
Well, again, it's all in perception, because that guy sitting at the desk might make way more money than I do, and some people might base, you know, you being a man on your financial status.
Right.
So if somebody's basing who's the most manliest on their each financial situation, then
all right.
I guess, you know, he might be more manly than me.
Right. Well, okay. All right. Now this is a subjective answer now. So give me your subjective answer on this. Now, if you were to meet this man outside under the oak tree after school one day and get in a fight with this man, and you beat his ass into the dirt, right? Who do you think society is going to say is more of the man? You or him?
Yeah, probably me, the winner.
You think?
Yeah, and there would be a sense of, there would be a manliness feeling, You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So again, man, that's why this topic intrigues me, because, and this is a touchy subject, and I'm not going to stay on it very long, but you take a transgender male or a homosexual, I'm sorry, just a transgender or a homosexual male.
Right.
Do they feel like a man? You know what I mean? So again, that's where perception comes in at. They might feel like a gay man, but which leads to their perception of what a man is would be completely different of what a heterosexual male's perception is. You know what I mean?
Right, of course. But a true respectable man, a man of any kind of background and well-being, like that man that has the broad shoulder and he works hard and he cuts his grass and he works on his car. And this is not a cultural thing or a regional thing. This is what I'm talking about, is just that hardworking middle-class man. You know what I'm saying?
That's a culture thing. You view that as being a man's man because of how you were born.
But I'm not. me personally,
shut your mouth.
Right, but me personally, in my own beliefs, isn't going to think of the gay man any less of a man. I mean, his perception of the way he carries himself is up to him. That's his perception of being a man, and my way is my way of being a man. But they're two totally different perspectives, and that in itself is what makes being a man so wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that being a woman is any less of a thing, but that's what makes us men, is that we can respect one another's outlook on how we feel about each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's different, like, obviously, you know, like, I'm not gonna gay bash, because that's not what I'm doing, and I definitely would never ever do that, because I have gay friends, but it's the perspective of, like, you know, like, I'm gonna say that gay guy over there, he's feminine as hell, like, he, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna do that, like, at all, because that's his own perspective of how he wants to carry himself. That's his way. And like I said, my way is cutting grass and working on my car and providing for my family. And not saying that he doesn't do those things, but he just, you know, physically attracted to men. I mean, I'm not trying to linger on the gay subject at all, but I'm just
listen. Don't tiptoe around that shit.
I'm not tiptoeing around it. I'm just saying you made a good point when you say it's perspective. I mean, my wife, she thinks I'm a man. She knows I'm a man of the house. She knows I'm a provider, and she knows that I'm going to take care of shit when it gets broke. You know what I mean? Like, and the gay man's husband or boyfriend or partner or whatever you want to call it, they're going to know that their husband, their boyfriend, their partner is also going to provide and do those things. So,
yeah, but when you say provide, you know, like, my wife works and I work, so I originally I attacked it from a neutral place, you know, about it's all about perception or whatever. But now let me attack it from a personal standpoint. I'm Southern. I'm old fashioned. I believe I am the man of the house. I'm treated as the man of the house, you know. And I remember in the past when I would have serious girlfriends, we'd talk about that, and they would be thrown off by that at first. And I'd have to explain to them that, listen, I'm a little Southern. I'm a little old fashioned. Let me finish. What I mean by that is that I believe that, you know, I am, somebody has to be the leader in any situation. At work, there's got to be a leader. In any kind of community organization, there's got to be a leader. You know what I mean? There's got to be the go-to guy who's responsible.
Right.
You know, and I prefer myself to be under that pressure as opposed to my wife. However, my wife does work. My wife makes great money. We live very comfortably. So when we say provide, that's kind of old fashioned a little bit. Like, and I know that when you say provide, you don't necessarily mean financially, but when people talk about being a provider, it's different. Times are different. Things are different. There's been times where I've been unemployed, or I hit a rough spell or something, and the wife's income was the only thing that's coming in. So when we say provider, that's kind of old school a little bit. It's and here's the good thing about, and I'm glad we're having this conversation about men and what it means to be a man. Because my personal perspective is number one, I'm the leader, and I'm a Christian, so it's I believe it's my responsibility of leading my family to Christ. We won't touch on that stuff. We're going to try to stay away from politics and religion, right? We agreed on that, right?
Right.
Okay. So my job as the man of the house is to really I'd consider myself to be head of security, and that's about it. Like, I like to pretend like I run shit around here, but the truth is that I run shit, but the wife signs off on everything. Like, I don't just get to make decisions all willy-nilly and shit. You know what I mean?
So you're not one of those old-fashioned woman belongs in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant kind of guys, right?
And I'm glad you asked that question, because a friend of mine that I grew up with, her name is Marie. That was one of the comments she made about it's 50-50, and I'm pretty sure I used to be this guy, and we all know that there's a lot of guys out there like this, but he's the beating on his chest bowed out, I'm the man of the house. My wife's gonna wait on me hand and foot, and go get him something to drink and fix his plate and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm definitely I agree with her on that. There's being a man doesn't mean that you get to just sit on your ass when you get home and do nothing. Well, if you're in a situation where both parties are working, then I'm sure that you help cook, don't you, Red?
Of course. Oh yeah.
You see where I'm going with this? So it's
yeah.
It's times have changed, and being what a man is, I believe it changes as an individual grows. Because I used to be that guy, because I'm Southern and I'm old fashioned and I'm the king of the house.
Right. I mean, I agree too.
Well, I am the king of the castle, but she's the queen of this castle, and I treat her accordingly. You know what I mean?
Right,
so it's a give take.
Yeah, I was touching on the comment that you made earlier about being equals.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely not like the alpha male. I mean, I'm the man of the house. We go back to cutting grass and working on vehicles and all that kind of stuff, but
yeah, but I think if you have man boobs, I don't think you can be alpha male anymore. Somebody told me that when I was in the gym. We were talking about.
I'm pretty sure you can still be man with man boobs. It just,
so you can be.
Yes, I believe you can, because I'm a carrier of man boob. I'm a owner of man boob, so I consider myself a man in that aspect. So, but what I'm saying is, like, I'm the man of my house, but my wife is the woman of the house, and drastic decisions are made together as one person. We don't make drastic decisions without one another. We're equals in that manner.
So wait a minute. Let me. I want to ask you this. I want you to throw this part in there.
Okay.
So, true or false? You and your wife have a dollar amount in which that if it's exceeded, a phone call must be made?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't have to call her if I want to buy a drink at the store, or if I'm purchasing, a sweet pair of shoes at the mall or anything like that. But if it's over, I'd say, I don't have like a set exact dollar amount, but I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 to $200. If I'm wanting to buy something of that amount, or if she the same, I would say a phone call would have to be made. I mean, that's respect for the other.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? But my wife knows, that, if she sees, like, if she's shopping with friends or the kids or something, and she sees something that she wants, I don't have a problem with her getting it. You know what I mean? Like, because she works, she also helps provide, and she deserves nice things. You know what I mean? That's one of the one of the things that we agreed upon long time ago. You know, she deserves nice things. I deserve nice things. You know, but I sometimes I try to put her above myself. You know what I mean? But if I
why? Because you're the man that you feel that's what you're supposed to do.
I feel that's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I made a pact with her in front of a preacher 18 years ago in the eyes of God and man that I would put her above all others. You know what I mean?
18 long years.
18 very, very long years. Yeah.
And 3 kids.
And 3 kids, yeah, 18 very long years and 3 children. But I made that pact in front of a preacher and God and man that I would provide for her and put her above all others. So, you know, I'll make sure that she has something and my children have something before I have something. You know what I mean? Like my kids aren't spoiled by any means. They know where they come from, but they don't want for anything either. You know what I mean? Like I come from a rough childhood. I come from a very, I'm not going to say poor, but I'm going to say less than middle class family. And I wasn't able to have certain things. So I try to give my kids the things and the opportunities that I didn't have. Because I feel that I'm obligated to, you know what I mean? Because I want my children to have things and have the life better than I did. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I mean, dude, it's really, it's empowering to know that I come from that kind of background and I'm in the position that I'm in now with my wife that I can do those things. You know what I mean? Like it's empowering as a man to be able to do that. Because my wife, she doesn't think that she, you know, like she gives the kids stuff before she gives herself anything. You know what I mean? Like, so she has the same perspective that I do on the sharing the responsibilities of the household. You know what I'm saying? So
has she ever mowed grass?
Yes, she has. I'm not going to say she's good at it. She mucks my grass up every time, but she has cut grass. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about the only thing that I'd prefer Jacqueline not to do. But she will work on some cars.
No, my wife's not working on cars. My wife knows how to put gas in them and knows how to drive them. That's about it.
Well, that's a good topic for a future broadcast about how
women cut grass.
Well, what makes a woman a woman?
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to get us a guest host on here for that one.
Yeah, Jessica was talking about it, right?
Jessica Gart, yeah, she was definitely talking about it. She's a single mother who takes on the role of mother and father. So she has a problem. I would assume she has a very unique opinion on society's view on women and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely a future topic for a podcast.
Yeah, and that brings up, you know, multiple conversations about how because I've seen it on social media where they say, you know, when they talk about single moms and how they have to be both mom and dads. And, you know, look, I'm a supporter of single moms. I'm divorced. So, and my ex-wife is not in a serious relationship at the moment. So I guess in a sense you could say she's a single mom, but I take a small bit of offense to it, just for the simple fact that I prefer her not to say that she's a single parent, because, you know, I'm very involved with my kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that whole single mom or single dad, you know what I mean? It's and that brings up the whole, you know, the dad thing again, you know, or the being a man thing. You know, it's when you have kids, it kind of changes what your views are on what a man is. And you said a bunch of important things that, you know, are important in my life as far as, you know, my kids are concerned. I've lived on both sides of the tracks, you know, so I didn't
Right.
All my issues as a young male were all self-inflicted. I had good parents and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
what I thought a man was in my 20s compared to what I think a man is in my 40s is completely different. You know, in our 40s, it's
Yeah.
kind of the thing that you said.
Yep.
I like to be able to provide for my kids. I like to be able to buy stuff for my kids. In my opinion, a man is, excuse me, a man is somebody who, is there for his kids. I'm a big dad supporter. I think dads,
Right.
men, and shit into the stick a lot of times through the judicial system. So when I think now that this conversation's continued, being a man, and think about how much it sucks being a man going through divorce through the court systems. I mean, society has pinned titles on us, deadbeat dads, and you know what I mean. It's just as men, when it comes to being a dad, we get kind of screwed from the very beginning just because we're a man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's just it's society's view on the man, like the whole entire topic of this conversation. Like society has made man into a brute. You know what I mean? Like I've known, relationships that, the man gets physical with the woman, but then at the same time the woman gets physical with the man, but it's always the man's fault, and that's just the judicial system holding us down, man. You know what I'm saying? Like just fighting against the man. The justice system is not for, in my opinion, and from what I've seen. I'm not speaking for the entire country's judicial system, but from what I've seen personally and where I've lived on the East Coast over the last 38 years, the judicial system's not for the man or the male parent in the situation sometimes. It's all, on, and some from experience. It's all from, the what the woman thinks is how it should go. You know what I mean? Like I've seen friends that separate, and they were really good dads and deadbeat moms, but because the mom says he's not fit to have take care of my children, then they should be with me. So the court gives the kids to the mother, and they get abused, they get neglected, you know what I mean? And the father is standing there with his hands tied behind his back because the judge says he's not allowed to see his kids. All because the woman says that he's not fit to have my kids. So, it society has a lot to do with how, or the justice system and the judicial system, they have a lot to do with how society looks at men in general. You know what I mean?
Well,
On the
I believe there are.
anyway.
Well, I believe there are some. I don't even know what category you'd put it in. Scientific or biological. That's it. I believe, for the most part, and I know, it varies, by the individual, but I believe women are born with a trait, a characteristic. I believe them to be more so of a nurturer slash coddler. You know what I mean? I think we have that gene in them. So I think that society and the judicial system, I believe that they think that the children would be better off with their mother because their mother is more of the coddler. You know what I mean? For mental reasons. You know what I mean? So I guess.
But whenever they get, whenever the kids get sent with the mom and they're in more of a bad way with the mom than they are the dad, but just because they're a mom and they're the nurturer and the coddler and all that, they get to go with the mom and not the dad. It doesn't seem fair to a kid to me now. I mean, I think the justice system should investigate a little bit more and find out the background on both parties before they make a decision like that. Because, like I said, I've seen instances like that where the justice system gives full custody to the mother, and the father has partial custody or weekend visits or whatever you want to call it. But while they're with the mother, 95% of the time they get neglected and abused and all that. Whenever the father's over here standing with his hands tied behind his back because he can't do anything. There was actually a story I seen floating around on Facebook a couple weekends ago. I don't remember the exact city that it was in, but a mother and a father had separated. They had a child together. I don't think they were married. They were just separated.
Well,
the girlfriend and her new boyfriend had this little girl, and whenever she was in custody of her mother, she was starved, she was abused, she was beaten, neglected, and she wound up dying. And the father tried to get custody of his daughter back, and the justice system said no, that she's in the custody of her mother and she's in good hands. And this man is devastated now because his girl, you know what I'm saying? So it's not all about what society thinks. It's a lot to do with what the justice system thinks of what a man is as well. You know what I mean? So I think the justice system needs to do a little bit more investigating.
Yeah. Hey, Red.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we might want to hold off on that topic. I'm looking at our Facebook, and it's showing that in the poll that we had, out of all the options for our next topic, is looks like dads won out: beer, beards, manscaping, and masturbation. But I am going to say that we do have four suggestions to talk about masturbation, so I'm excited about that. That shows that we've got just the right people listening.
Right.
So dads, that's coming up next. So we'll save some of that for the next one.
Yep. I was just saying, as far as the justice system's perspective on men, not really dads in general, but just in.
I hear you. Yeah, I get it.
But
that's 36 minutes. How long is this podcast?
I don't know. However long you want it to be, buddy.
Why don't you tell them again about where to find us and what to do and help us keep this thing rolling?
Yeah, if any of you guys want to listen to us on a regular basis, you'd like to go to Apple Podcast or Google Play and hit the subscribe button and make sure you get to be able to listen to us every single week. Make sure you give us 5-star reviews, the whole 9 yards. That puts us in rotation and keeps us featured and all that kind of good stuff. So
you all know about keeping in the rotation.
Oh yeah.
Also, don't forget about finding us on social media. Drop some topics.
We're on Facebook, Conversations with Paycheck and Red. Look it up.
I'm working on the Instagram. I got to get my daughter to help me out with that, but Instagram coming up.
So make sure you look us up on wherever you listen to podcasts, and keep listening every week because it'll get better and better and better. Like I said, deal with it for a little bit till we get some better equipment and we get the whole kinks and bugs worked out. This is the first one. We'll see how it goes, but I think that'll probably wrap up this episode, Paycheck. What do you think?
Congratulations on your first podcast, brother.
Congratulations to you as well, brother.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Love you.
Love you too, brother.
Later. See ya.